Welcome to Hire Power, the show where we cut through the noise and get real about hiring. I'm Kim Frost, founder of Frost Connections, and after 25 plus years in the search industry, I've seen what works and what absolutely doesn't. If you're a founder, CEO, VP, or HR leader who's tired of bad hires and ready to build a team that actually fits your culture and vision, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hi there. Welcome back to Higher Power. I'm Kim Frost. No Diet Coke with 6 limes today. It's early in the morning, and I figured don't start this early. And trust me, back in college, I probably drank 6 to 8 tabs a day. Okay, but I regress. Here we go. What are we talking about today? You're a brand new leader. You've got new power, but it's with the same people. You're working with the same company, potentially your same team. Now what? So you got the promotion, you're leading the same people you used to sit next to, and let's just throw this in for fun. You're managing your friends. Everything just changed. The relationships changed. The expectations changed. Whether you realize it or not, how they see you shifted overnight. Some are happy for you, but some are skeptical. I bet you there's a few quietly questioning why it was you and not them. So here's the part that no one really prepares you for. You don't get trust just because your title changed. In fact, sometimes you lose it the moment it does. If this is a new company, the pressure doesn't go away. It just looks different. You don't know the history. You don't know the politics. You don't know who really makes decisions yet. You were brought in to lead, maybe even change things. That creates tension most leaders underestimate. How do you build trust, earn influence, and lead without blowing up the room in your first 90 days? Here's the mistake most leaders make, and I see it all the time. They come in hot, new ideas, new structure, new expectation, and what happens? It backfires. They skipped the step that matters most, understanding the system they just walked into. And when I say system, I don't mean your technical systems. I mean the underlying systems, the underlying people, the underlying politics that run the company. Okay, so here's what you do. The first 90 days, I suggest you learn, observe, observe, observe. Don't try to make any drastic changes. You're not there to prove yourself in 1 week. You're there to understand how decisions get made, who influences outcomes, what are the unwritten rules, where are the landmines. Every organization has a legacy culture, deeply embedded norms, shared history, ways of working that don't show up in that lovely employee handbook. You don't bulldoze that, though. You earn your way into it. So, as I said before, be curious, not corrective. You didn't take the role to replicate your last company. There's nothing more annoying when a new leader steps in to a company and says, well, this is how we did it, this is how we did it, or this is how we used to do it. Your new team doesn't want to hear that. There's something here that pulled you in, so act like it. Ask, help me understand how this came together. What's worked well? Where do you see friction? Curiosity builds access. I love that. Really think about it. Correction too early shuts it down. Okay, real story here. This is, God, when I started my recruiting career back in 99, I placed a VP of HR for one of our clients. Let's call him Dwayne. Okay, that's his real name. 2 weeks in, he called me, frustrated, questioning the decision. Did I make a mistake? And the complexity of it all is we moved him from Georgia to Wisconsin. So it was a new company, new environment, high expectations. Here's what triggered it. The CEO was giving him trivial work, like work that he thought was way beneath him. It wasn't strategic, it wasn't leadership level. It's the kind of work that makes you stop and think, why did they hire me? That really messes with your head and fast, especially that early. So I listened, and then I told him a story. When I got into the recruiting industry, my boss sat me down and said, "This is how I manage." And she handed me the book, The Mafia Manager. I'll never forget it. Funny part though, it's anonymous. Still not clear if it came from someone inside the mafia or was it just a play on words. Here's what mattered though. My boss was direct, clear, no guessing. That was a gift. Probably why she's still one of my most influential leaders in my career almost 20 years later. And hi, Candace, if you're listening, after all this time, I still think of you. This is exactly what I talk about being a great leader, making an impact even after all these years. Okay, let's get back on track. Chop, chop. I told Dwayne about this experience and I mailed him the copy of my book. Yes, I mailed it. That was before Amazon made everything instant. I told him I'd check back with him in a few weeks. You know what? I didn't have to. He read it, applied a few concepts, shifted how he showed up. And what happened? The CEO responded. The work changed. The best part, though, he was happier. He got it. He switched gears. Then he stopped second guessing his decisions. So, what does this really mean? Early signals don't always mean you made the wrong decision. Sometimes they're testing you how you show up. So, you really need to build relationships in every direction. This is where a lot of new leaders misstep, especially when you were just one of the team. Before the promotion, relationships were simple: peers, equals, shared wins, shared frustrations. That dynamic now is gone. Now you own decisions, performance, direction. If you don't reset how you show up, things get messy fast. What happens though? One of two things. Most leaders overcorrect. They either lean into authority, trying to prove, I'm the leader now, I got the title, respect me, or they stay too close, trying to preserve that friendship. Both create problems. And this was highlighted in that book, The Mafia Manager. Still remember that. So you stay too close. Here's what's going to happen. You avoid giving direct feedback to someone you used to vent with. You justify poor performance because you know what they're dealing with. And what happens? Others notice and they start questioning your judgment, including the leaders above you. But on the flip side, if you lean too hard into authority, here's what it looks like. You stop asking for input. You make decisions in isolations. You create distance to prove a point. And the result? The team pulls back. So here's where you shift. And it's a tough one. You're no longer part of the group. You're responsible for the group. So your job becomes consistency. Same expectations, same tone, same follow through. So let's take an example. You have a former peer who's underperforming. Old version of you would be, let me give it some time. Leader version will say, I care about them and I still need to address the gap. So, what does a conversation sound like? Hey, I want to talk to you about what I'm seeing. This isn't about one moment, this is a pattern. Let's walk through this together. What is that? That's direct, respectful, and clear. Another key thing that you really need to do is learn the informal power structure. The org chart doesn't tell the full story. Every company has that person with the loud voice, the person that thinks they're the smartest, the trusted advisor, the quiet operator who moves decisions. So you really need to pay attention. Who people go to before making decisions? Who speaks last in meetings? Who gets pulled into key conversations that may not necessarily have that title? Here's an example of what I'm talking about. You roll out a new process, it makes sense. There's no pushback in the meeting, nothing happens after because the person people trusted wasn't brought in. So you go to them and say, I'm rolling this out. People respect your perspective. What am I missing? Now you have alignment instead of resistance. Use your outsider lens carefully. You see patterns others don't. That's your advantage. Use it wrong, you lose credibility. Skip, this doesn't make sense, and substitute, say, I'm noticing decisions slow down across teams. Where does that break down? Now you're opening a conversation. Hypotheses, not judgments. You're forming opinions. Frame them as observation. Instead of, this team lacks accountability, try, I'm seeing deadlines shift. What's driving that? You still address the issue. You don't create defensiveness, though. What else can you do? Stop referencing your old company. You've seen it. At my last company, people just tune out. So, how can you flip that? Say something like, I've seen a model that improved turnaround time. Want me to walk you through it and see if it fits here? Same insight, different delivery. My other really important one, don't rush to restructure. Even if you are hired to fire people, sit back and watch and listen. If you do that, you'll see inefficiencies early, then pause. You don't know behavior yet. So, what does this look like? Someone looks disengaged. 6 weeks later, they lead through a crisis better than anyone else. So, give it time. Patterns reveal themselves. Don't forget, protect your integrity early. This shows up in small moments. Someone says, off the record, be careful. If you engage in gossip once, it sticks. So, how to turn that around? I want to make sure we're fair. Have you talked to them directly? Absolutely, absolutely have one on one conversations. They matter the most. This is where trust starts to get built. And this is one of the things I hear from leaders when I ask them, how did you do it? How did you get this gnarly project over the goal line when you were brand new? And I will tell you, the best leaders, 99% of them say they met with people one on one. And this is where you get to ask what's working well. Where are you stuck? Where can I help you? Listen for patterns. That's your roadmap. Pay attention and be mindful of the small intentional actions. As I said, no big overhaul is needed early. Focus on following through, closing loops, being clear on decisions. So, what does this look like? Example, you say, I'll follow through up on Friday. Do it. Now, if for some reason that doesn't happen, tell that person ahead of time before your deadline, and then give them the new updated deadline. You have to do everything you can to not miss that updated deadline. That builds more trust than any strategy deck. When influence shows up, not day one, not week two, it happens when people start saying, I get it. They listened, they follow through. So I'm going to close you with this. You are hired for your expertise. You'll be judged on your ability to integrate, influence, and elevate others. Dwayne almost walked away after 2 weeks. Nothing changed about the company overnight. What changed? How he showed up. And that changed everything for him, his career, and the company. So, study the system, earn trust, use your voice with intention, because that's how you lead, that's how culture shifts, and that's how you win.
That's it for this episode of Higher Power. If you're ready to hire smarter, connect with me at frostconnections.com or at LinkedIn at Kim Frost. And if you've got something to say about today's episode, follow the show and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, hire smart, lead better, and remember, how you hire is who you become. See you next week. No fluff, just better hires.